So we're going to take all our knowledge of y equals mx plus b and slope and intercept and graph linear equations. So let's start with determining the slope and the y-intercept. Now remember, we know about y equals mx plus b, right? That's the general form, or the slope-intercept form, excuse me, for the equation of a line. It's the one that we use by far the most often, okay? All right, so if we have y equals mx plus b, we look at this equation right here, you can see, hopefully you can see, that the slope is the number that's multiplied by your x, that's your m, which is -2. Poof, there it is. And then your y-intercept is 0, 4. Remember, it has to be a point. It's no good just to write 4. I know you want to, but it's a point. Points need coordinates. They need an ordered pair. So you need an x value, which is 0, because when you're on the y-axis, if you're sitting here on the y-axis, right, then your x value is 0. You haven't gone left or right at all. You've just gone up, right? So 0, 4. All right, we're done with that one. Now, what about b? Well, b's got a little bit of an issue because for letter b, we don't have the equation in y equals mx plus b form, which is not good for us. All right, so we're going to have to take this and we're going to have to solve it for y. We want to get y by itself. That way it could be y equals mx. We're close to y equals mx, but we've got this 2 thing in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 2. Okay. Now over on the left, that's no problem. 2 over 2 divides away and makes just y. Right? Cool. Now on the right, this is okay, but it's not really an mx form like we like. We like m something times x. So we can say 3/2 x. Now I know there's no b there. That's okay. It's still y equals mx. It's plus b, but the problem is that it doesn't exist, so that must mean it's 0. Exactly. All right? Okay, so the slope is 3/2. Right? That's the numbers that are multiplied by the x, right there, 3/2 x. And the y-intercept, since we don't see a b in the problem, then it's 0, right? Because anything plus 0, the plus 0 part's always hidden, right? Cool. So we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. Lovely. So now before we use the slope and the y-intercept and the slope to graph a linear equation, we have to first do what we just did in this problem right here, right? We have to solve for y and put the equation in the form y equals mx plus b, right? We want y equals mx plus b, right? That is our goal. Poof, there it is. I wrote it in. All right, now we're going to determine the slope and the intercept on this one, and then we're going to graph the equation. So we have this lovely equation right here, and we are going to have to get it in y equals mx plus b form, which it is not currently. So the first thing you're going to have to do is subtract the 2x. You don't like that in there at all. Right? It's mucking up the whole process here. There we go. So now we're minusing 2x. And to do it to the left, you got to do it to the right as well to keep everything nice and fair and balanced. Cool. Now, what's that going to leave you with? On the left, you're going to have 5y because the minus 2x is canceled, or plus 2x minus 2x. On the right, these are not like terms. One of them has a number, and one of them is a number times a letter, right, or times a variable. So those aren't alike, so you just have to write them. -2x plus 15. Now, I know you could write 15 minus 2x, but the deal is we want to get mx plus b, so we want to put it in that order. All right, now we don't like the 5 either, so we're going to divide by 5 because... Now you might be saying, why did I divide this time and subtract that time? Well, this time it was because this was added. So to undo the addition of 2x, we have to subtract 2x. This down here, it's multiplied. So I'm going to multiply, or divide, to get rid of it. Oops. Oops. There we go. Dividing. There we go. So that's going to divide away. 5 over 5 divides away and just leaves you with y. Now over here, you've got to do both of these things. So you have to write negative 2 over 5x plus, and then you got to divide the other one, 15 over 5. Can't just do the left without doing the right. It's not fair, right? Everything over here is divided by 5, not just the first part, not just the second part, but all of it. Which means our equation is y equals negative 2 over 5 x plus 3. There we go. We have our equation. That's good. Wasn't really what it asked, but so I suppose I shouldn't box it because it's not really the final result. It's just the work we need to get that final result. All right. Now they want us to tell them the slope, because that's what they asked us to determine the slope and the y-intercept. So let's start with the slope. Slope is the m part for your equation. So if you look at your equation, it was negative 2/5. So slope is negative 2 over 5. And I just want to take a moment here to make some comments here. Okay. So we can think of this a couple ways. We can think of this as negative 2/5, like we've got in the box, right? Or we can think of it as negative 2 over positive 5. Or we can think of it as positive 2 over negative 5. Oh, I'm going to want those to be separated. So let me put it down here. Okay. So these are one and the same. It doesn't matter really which way you write it. We learned back in chapter, I think, or unit 2, I believe, that it doesn't really matter where the negative is as long as you have one. Now, we tend to write this one in the box the most, right? But these other two are perfectly correct. Now, why am I doing that? Well, I want us to think about something for just a second. When you have your slope, what you have is rise over run, right? Actually, you know what? Let me make a note somewhere. I'll put it down here. Okay. So let's make a note here. Slope is rise over run, correct? And we know that that's vertical change over horizontal change. All right, now, what does that mean? Well, it's going to mean words. So vertical is up, literally the word up, if it's positive. And then down if the number up there is negative. Like in our case, it's negative 2. So up or down. Up and down are vertical words. And then horizontal would be to the right if it's positive, or to the left if it's negative. So keep that in mind when we have to start using this to be able to graph, right? It matters where that plus or minus sign is to some extent, because it's going to affect how we're going to do things. So in other words, this one we're going to say that's a negative 2. Remember, negative, this is up or down, but since it's negative, it's going to be down 2. And then left or right for the bottom number, but since it's positive, that'll be to the right. Okay. Or we could think of it the other way. We could say, okay, it's positive 2, that's up 2, and then negative number there, so that's left 5. All right. All right, so we're going to keep that in mind for when we have to use the slope in a second, but we need a starting point. So our starting point for graphing is our y-intercept. Ooh, hold on. Need a little space there. Okay, so we need the y-intercept to be dealt with. All right, well, the y-intercept's really easy to spot. Once you have it in mx plus b form, it's just that point in the back, that number from the back. So you'd say, okay, 0, 3. You just have to make a point out of it with a 0. X is 0 on the y-axis. All right, now we're going to use these things to graph, and keep in mind this whole up or down thing. Make a note of it, put a box around it, whatever. It's a big deal. There we go. There, I put a box around it. Okay, now let's deal with the graphing. Poof. All right, I pulled up a program that I can graph in. You, of course, will just be doing this with paper and a ruler. But now I started at 0, 3 because we said that was our y-intercept, 0, 3. So that's our starting point. So I put a little dot right there at 0, 3. And now I need to kind of move along using my slope. And this is where that whole up-down thing is going to come in handy. So I'm going to use, let's do the top one. So I'm going to go down 2, right 5, right? So let's see. I go down 2. So you put your pencil on 0, 3. You move it down 2, 1, 2. Then go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there, right there, I should have a point. What are the coordinates of it? Let's see. It's over 5 to the right. So 5, up 1. So I need a point at 5, 1. There we go. Now the other way to interpret it, well, you could try it again, but down to right 5, you're going to get off screen over here. So this is no good. We're out of points on this side. But we could go the other way. You could say, okay, I went down and right, and I ran out of space. Now I could go up and left. Up and left, up and left. All right, so I could either start at my starting point again, or I could start right here. I could say, okay, up 2, 1, 2, left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, look at that. I'm back where I started. See, that's why it doesn't matter whether you think of it as the up way or the down way. You should be able to go both directions. So we went down to the right, and now we're going to go up and to the left. Let's do it again. Start here at 0, 3, go up 2, 1, 2, left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need a dot over here on this left. It's -5, +5. So let me put that in there. -5, +5. There we go. And then we're out of space again. I can go up 2, but I can't get left 5 because I'm out of space on this grid. All right, then you just take your ruler and you connect the dots. And away you go. Copy and paste that in. It's not quite the same. It's a different program, but it's close enough. Cool. All right, we're all done with that page. Let's pause right there because this last page all goes together. So I'll see you back here to deal with the intercepts.